thanks a lot, Gopi, for agreeing to do this interview with us. We are really excited to, share your insight with our audience and help them understand how to navigate the entire journey of IIM and probably how to ace it as well.
No, thanks for inviting me on this one, Jalda. And I've also seen what, some of the other videos where you've interacted with students from different universities. It's really wonderful that this initiative is there, because when I was looking out for some of the materials that are out there for MBA aspirants, I think I found a lot, but mostly not in terms of a video interview with people who have already gone through the MBA experience. But this one is quite helpful. I've listened to the interviews that you have already taken, so those have been really helpful, I guess.
Thanks a lot for the word of appreciation. To begin our interview, I will ask you the most common question. Could you help us with a bit of your background, your education, employment background before you went across and did your MBA?
Yeah, sure. I think I just have to make sure your expression when I talk about my experience. So I had about 15 years of experience when I went to do the MBA. But yeah, in terms of my background, so I am a cost accountant. So basically a finance graduate. And then I also went on to complete my cost accounting degree, which is a professional degree. And then I completed chartered management accounting, which is called CIMA from UK. In terms of my experience, I had about 14 years of experience by the time I started applying for universities. I worked with a commercial vehicle manufacturing company in India, and then IT sector, and then moved on to the energy sector. Mostly into the finance space. I think I've been doing a lot of financial planning and analysis type of roles, corporate finance, project management, etc.
What made you choose this particular program and why IIM Ahmedabad? Though the latter part of the question is quite self-explanatory, but what was there in your mind when you went across for IIM Ahmedabad?
No, sure. I think what I really wanted to do was to upskill myself. So to be honest, I think I never started with the aim of doing an MBA, although this was always there in the back of my mind. Because at the beginning of my career, I was looking at people preparing for CAT and then, trying to apply to IIMs, etc. So that was always there in the back of my minds. But I was trying to upskill myself, like I had about 14 years of experience, and I was trying to see where do I go from here? What are the relevant skills that I should be acquiring? And how do I keep up with the market, right? The skill sets that are evolving in this age of AI, digitalization, etc. So I actually gave consideration to different courses that are out there, like for example, CFA. There are other courses that I really wanted to see if this would fit me and where this would take me, etc. But I think in this evaluation exercise, what I really noticed is that MBA is something that would really position for multiple, multiple pivots or multiple dimensions that might show up in the future. So that's the key reason why I narrowed down on MBA. So one, I think in terms of why MBA is just to upskill myself and be relevant in the market, number one. And when it comes to university, I had a very, very, very basic criteria that I want to take my family, or I wanted to stay closer to my family wherever I do the MBA. And then if you look at some of the European or Western programs, I think it's quite difficult for me to go there, live as a student, and also to take my family with me. So the obvious choice was like India. Then if that is the case, then the choice set is quite narrow, right? I think you have to look at the top programs in India. And if you look at the experience profile of IIM Ahmedabad, that kind of really ticks the box for me compared to any other program that is there in India as of now. Because IIM's average experience is about 7-8 years, and I think they are also quite open to accepting senior people like me. So from that sense, it is quite an obvious choice, is what I felt. And I've also been looking at some of the people who completed IIM, like the IIMA 1-year MBA program. I've interacted with them, so their insights. And I've interacted with a few professors as well before even applying to the program. So all of those things kind of culminated into the decision. But at the end of the day, it's also kind of quite simple. And that's the only college that I applied to be quite honest. For the 23-24 intake, I applied to IIMA and no other college, and it happened. So yeah, let me stop there.
So you are somebody who is a gold medalist. Could you share a bit about, how to go about with getting there? If one aspires to be at IIM Ahmedabad and to be among the cream of them, that all. how does one go about approaching learning, approaching their curriculum, and approaching their time with the course?
Yeah, I think it might sound a bit cliche, but let me say this. I never expected to be the gold medalist. I can vouch, I can give it in writing that there are smarter people than me in the batch. And I was so happy that the cohort was so diverse and extremely intellectual. People who with whom I've worked with, I've seen their intellectual capacity both in the class and outside the class, and in terms of what extracurricular activities they've been doing, etc. So I guess gold medal is one metric, but it's not the only metric that we should be using to measure, let's say, I think a person's capability, etc. Having said that, what could have really helped me is the consistency. Uh, and I had my priorities quite clear when I went into the program. So I did not do a lot of extracurricular activities or sports when I was at the campus. I'm a simple guy who would not miss any class, so I've not missed a single class. I think not even a single lecture I've missed through the program. And I used to be quite focused in terms of what's coming my way from an academic coursework perspective, as well as some of the opportunities where you go and meet the CEOs, some successful entrepreneurs, some policymakers, even politicians for that matter, right? So I was quite keen on building those networks and participating in these workshops, seminars, and also being a bit more consistent with my academic work. And I took a lot of help from professors, to be quite honest. So statistics is an area where I was quite bad, and that was in term one. So I sat with the professor a couple of times, asked him how should I improve, etc. So those things really helped. And I think IIM is also a place where you just go and ask for knowledge. I think you will get it. In my view, I think if you are aiming for an MBA at the end of the day, people should be quite clear in terms of the priorities that they or how do I put it, the outcomes that they want to achieve out of the MBA program. So if you're quite clear with that one, and then prioritize your time at the campus according to those outcomes, then obviously people can definitely excel. There were people in my batch, to be very honest, who were not at all interested in the gold medal, but they were quite competent, and they were highly capable of getting the rank 1 or rank 2, whatever it is, right? So but that was not their priority. I think that's also quite important. So where do you stand? What is the outcome that you want to get out of the program is something that people should clearly focus on. I haven't done anything. One last point. So I haven't done anything different from what my peers were doing. The only thing that I could think of is the consistency and sticking to the basics. Is what I would say.
Got it. So when one commits to a rigorous course like the ones that is offered at IIM, there are high possibilities that you're going to have your highs, and definitely you're going to have your lows. And I'm sure that you must have also gone through the same. How did you deal with the lows that came across, and was there any go-to move or go-to experience that you could suggest to our audience that would help while you're going through a rigorous course like IIM's, and how to cope with it?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. To be honest, I think every student who goes into such a IIM program or a MBA program would obviously encounter such challenges, and we've had our share of lows. Meaning sometimes the coursework is so heavy that it is difficult for you to take out space for anything. And you built a little bit of expectation for those things. So you go in expecting, yes, the coursework is going to be heavy. Not just that, let's say you participated in a case competition and you thought, or probably the person who participated thought that they have done really well, and eventually the outcome was not in their favor. There are many such instances where you probably would give in your 100% and you would not get what you wanted. That's something that will probably drain you a lot and also make you feel quite low. So what really helped me was, number one thing is my family. I think having my kids around was a phenomenal stress buster for me. I mean, many people have been asking me, how did you manage to get gold medal while having your family living along with you on the campus? I actually felt that that's the key reason for me to get the medal or excel in academics. Because my kids were like my stress busters. So talking to them for some time would definitely lift my mood, and then I'm off to the next thing. The other piece is it's again quite important to have some sort of a routine, because I used to go for really long walks. So we had a beautiful football ground in the campus. I think I had a walking partner, and we used to walk for like an hour consistently every day. And that definitely lifted the spirits, and then also kind of cleared up the mind in terms of what next to be done, etc. I played a little bit of sports, for example, cricket and badminton. That's one area to vent out stress, to be quite honest. I think pick up a sport and go vent out your stress there, then I think you'll be completely fine. I think just the if I can probably add one last line, I think what I would say is definitely go into any MBA program expecting a lot of lows, but also make sure that what you're going to do at that point in time, is it sports, is it your family time, is it your friends, spending time with your friends, etc. Right? So that's something that people can also think of.
Wonderful. So when you're talking about a business degree, there's a saying that goes, you have to go beyond curriculum. Was there any kind of projects or, outside of curriculum work that you did while you were associated with IIM? And if so, what was it? And, if you could share a bit about it.
Yeah, so see, I think the program itself offers a lot. I think the committees and clubs are all run by the students. Yeah, so there's a alum committee, there's a placement committee, there is a club on AML, so artificial intelligence and machine learning. So there is a cultural committee. A lot of these things are run by the students alone. Of course, they do get the guidance from professors and some of the senior, the previous batches. But for your batch, you have to take care of those things. So having said that, I think one example that I can quote where I went out of the academics is to help one of the professors to conduct a seminar. So, and the professor has done a lot of work in terms of narrowing down the guests. We had to collate, some inputs from the batch and also coordinate with those guests and also ask them a few questions as a moderator, right? As a moderator of the seminar. And then we also had some one-on-one conversation with those guests. So things like this really help because it's not just the fact that you are out there to go into the classroom and just do your cases and then submit the projects, etc. But when you participate in these things, right, your network really builds. I think that's also one of the key things that I would say. People should have at least one or two, things that they can actually consistently do to improve their network or to build their network. So we had something called speaker series, for example. So these speaker series, we invite industry leaders to come and talk to our batch. Organizing those speaker series is itself a good thing for you to build the network. And also catch up with those speakers once they're in the campus and understand how can you go about in terms of career planning, etc., etc. So that those are the things that I did. Just one quick example, if that might help you.
Definitely. You did speak about these experiences that, you had outside of curriculum. If one had to ask you, how has your perception in terms of profession changed before, you joined IIM and post your completing of your degree? What would you say?
This is a profession in terms of what I am doing or generally?
In general, how your outlook towards, looking at career, or your outlook towards looking at work.
Yeah, I think what really MBA prepares for you is I think you give me any situation, I'm ready to handle it. So that's the type of a mindset that I am in now. In fact, there were situations that I would dread. I think I'm a very, very risk averse person when it comes to career choices, profession, etc. I think after going through this program, what I feel is like my risk appetite has definitely increased. I'm okay to take a little bit of risk because at the end of the day, I think there is definitely a clear correlation between risk reward, right? I think in terms of career choices, in terms of what you do with your personal life, etc., etc. MBA also tells you that I think how you can be in control of things without actually tracking things very closely. That's a very important thing that I really learned at the program, right? So for you to probably become the C-suite executive of an organization, it's not necessary for you to know everything, and you don't have to be in control of everything. Meaning you don't want the teams that are doing the things to directly come and report to you for you to control things. So how can you probably establish those controls? Through trust and probably putting the right people in the right place, and also probably doing some checkpoints, etc. Right? I think these things were quite not that obvious. I mean, these are quite simple, and I'm sure if you had told me this before I went into the MBA program, obviously I would say yes, I agree with you. I think that's how one should be working. But I think when you do it, because I think, let's say we've been doing so many projects and we had to split the project into 8 pieces. You won't believe, if it was happening in a corporate environment, I wouldn't trust the other pieces other than the one that I'm doing. I would want to go and look at every other piece just to make sure that the final outcome is in line with what I was expecting. But when you are racing against time, And when there is not much that you can do other than actually working on your piece, then probably you'll start trusting people and you'll say, okay, fine. I think he's my peer. He would take care of those things. And I'm sure that the 8 pieces have come together and made a perfect output, right? And that really happened in many cases. So when that happened time and again, I started thinking, okay, maybe what I was doing so far was not right. Maybe I should start letting go of things, let people take care of things, and let me trust them, and then see how that one comes along. But yeah, I think two things I would say is my risk appetite has definitely increased in terms of career choices, as well as what I would want to do in the future as well. Second thing is also you really need to be focused in terms of what you can control and do it really well, instead of thinking about, oh, what might go wrong with what others are doing. So those are the two things that I would say changed.
Got it. If I had to ask you, what is the top secret that not many people know about IIM Ahmedabad, what would it be?
No, I think I'm not sure. That's a good one, but let me see if I can think. Yeah. So I guess many people kind of portray this as some sort of a silver bullet. Uh, um, you should be having this. You should be having this GMAT score. You should be having this profile. You should have done this. You should have done that, etc. But in my experience, let me be quite transparent and honest about what I felt about my admission itself. So I was I was so negative, and I never thought that my profile will first of all be shortlisted. And when I was shortlisted after the interview, I never thought that I would be accepted. And I was eventually accepted, and I topped the batch also. So I think the secret is just go with the flow and be yourself is what I would say. And this has come up in many interactions with the students. I'm sure you would be saying, you might be thinking in your head like, oh, not again. But to be very honest, this is the thing that people will have to do. Like, be yourself. And be authentic. Just go and express yourself, and I think that's how. Because what happens is in the admission process, it's not just us. It's there's no benchmark that defines, okay, this is the cutoff, and after this, whoever reaches this cutoff, they are accepted into the program. It's not like that. It's a diverse cohort, and what you need is experiences that would complement within the batch, qualifications, professions that would complement your background, what you've been doing. So those sorts of things are the ones that will play a big determining role than what type of a percentile score that you had, or what sort of academic performance. So there's obviously, that's the filtering element. But after that, what really matters is how would you enhance the learning within the cohort. As long as you demonstrate that you have the appetite to learn, and you also have the willingness to share with others what you know, I think that is good enough for people to take you into the program, any program for that matter.
You spoke about admissions and the selection process that is used at IIM Ahmedabad. How was your selection process like? Do you remember any kind of something that was very striking during your personal interview that remains with you, and you were like, oh, this is something that I was not expecting, and this came on my interview? Did you have that kind of a moment? If yes, what was it, and how would you advise our audience to go about with such surprise moments?
Sure. So the admission process is quite straightforward at IIMA. I think you have to submit the application, then the shortlist will be released. The shortlisted people will be called up for an interview, and if you crack the interview, then you would be given admission. My interview was a very unique experience for me. In that so typically there are certain standard sections in an interview, right? Like, for example, extempore, and then you go about asking certain questions about your experience, and then why MBA, why IIM, etc. So we did not follow any of those standards. I still remember. I can name the professor. So it's Professor Vishwanath Pingley. He's quite a famous professor at IIMA, and so I didn't even sit. So I walked into the room, and I was still standing there, and the professor started with the questions, and he was like, "Why are you even applying?" So I was taken aback, like, what? I never expected this question to be the one with which we'll start the interview, right? I think I kind of gathered my breath and calmed myself a little bit and started explaining thought process, etc. And then he was more probing into the why I'm trying to do this at this stage of the career, despite having a successful trajectory in terms of growth, etc. Right? I think so. So he was more trying to understand if I have the intent come in and give 100% for the program. So that was very, very unique for me. And I think the first thing that I did was come out, call my wife and tell, I don't think I'm going to do this, or I'm not going to get admission, because we never went into some of the standard pieces of the interview, right? So it's very different. I believe, I think maybe if they feel that the person offers what they're looking for, it's more of a fitment. One, if you already offer the fitment, and then the next thing is to see how committed you or the person who is applying for the program, how committed that person. So as long as those two things are there, I'm sure the panel would consider that person to be good enough for the program.
Got it. So when you look at students of your caliber and somebody who's looking forward to attaining leadership position, you have been in the industry for 15 plus years, and you wanted to upskill and probably have more of leadership based kind of profiles coming across your way. How did IIM Ahmedabad help you in fostering your leadership skills and to put them in proper use and making sure that it actually helps you in terms of your career?
Yeah, so see, it's just a few months since I got out of the program, and I took a sabbatical to do the MBA. So I'm back to the organization that I was part of. And I think that's one of the great things that my current organization does, which they obviously support people to go ahead and do the program and then come back. Like, when I say program, I think it's from a sabbatical perspective. They really supported me to just go ahead and pursue this program. I think a lot of this has to unfold in the future in terms of how this played a role in changing my career trajectory. But as I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of the ingredients that I need to become one successful person have been incorporated, I believe, at IIMA. So be it technical knowledge. When I say technical knowledge, your ability to do the job, any sort of a job, because the course covers a lot of domains like operations, strategy, finance, marketing, etc. Right? I won't claim I'm a marketing expert or an operations expert, but if you put me into one of those roles, I would obviously be able to handle those things, given the training that I had at IIMA. So having said that, and even in terms of challenges, like if I were to lead a multicultural team, I would be able to do it. And that's because some of the specific discussions that we handled in the leadership courses at IIMA, etc. Right? So those are focused examples. But I think maybe if we go 5 years down the line and see how it really helped, I could be able to give a lot of more credible inputs. Right now I think those are some inputs that I can share.
Got it. Now let's just go to the advice part, wherein you are somebody who has lived this journey. You are somebody who has aced this journey as well. Do you have any advice for the students who are currently looking forward to pursuing your program at IIM Ahmedabad?
Yeah, I think it all starts with the applicant really understanding why they want to do the MBA at the first place. So that's going to be quite an obvious question, not just at the time of admission, but even after admission. So if somebody is thinking that, okay, I will do this because it sounds fancy and having an IIM Ahmedabad tag is really helpful, I would ask them to think twice. So basically, please, I think what's important is to go back, reflect, is this really required? If yes, then why this particular place? And I think I also shared my example. I'm sure that will help people, because I did not just focus on MBA, but I was also comparing MBA with some of the other courses. And then did an assessment. Okay, so if I do this course, where is it going to land me? If I do MBA, where is it going to land me? So that comparison happened and calibration happened in my mind before I narrowed down MBA. So please do that as well. So if somebody is in a data science type of a work stream, or let's say somebody is doing a data science type of work, they should ideally think what sort of value addition would an MBA give, or can they actually go for some other certification within data science, right? So being really strong in terms of how MBA would add value is something very helpful, and people will have to understand that corresponding to their profile. And after that, I think everything is very similar to what people have been sharing already, which is like, be authentic, go out there, and we don't have to say that, we don't have to fake anything. I think if we can be ourselves, probably that's what the panel want to see. Just being yourself and explaining how you've handled situations and how you would handle situations and how you would add value to the cohort, etc. Right? Those are the things that people would typically look at. Any inputs that are coming from friends and people who have already applied, etc., I would say I think they can also add a little bit of confusion, including my own comments at this point in time, to be very, very honest and transparent, right? So it's okay. I think it's okay to listen to what people have to say, but also I think people will also have to try to do something that would work for them. What has worked for me need not work for others. So that's quite important. And my journey and somebody else's journey is not going to overlap, or it's not going to be the same. So it's okay for people to have different approaches. So if somebody is really bold enough to take a slightly different approach, they should really aim to do that as well. The final piece is obviously failure is not going to be final. So people, if they don't get it in one round, or let's say in the first application, I think they can try again, because MBA is also quite a long journey. It's not a sprint, so people will have to be ready both mentally as well as physically to run this marathon, because it's 1 year, minimum 1 year type of an investment. You are probably taking a break from your career, so that means there's also opportunity cost involved. So there's a lot of investment going on, and people should be ready both mentally and physically to go through this. Yeah, so that's what I would say.
Got it. Are there any specific resources or reference material that you wish you had known about before you started the journey at IIM Ahmedabad?
I think there are so websites like yours. So there are a lot of resources today. I think it's not like a situation where people are struggling to find information. In fact, many people are reaching out to our batchmates on LinkedIn, and forums like yours, as well as there are other forums where people are reaching out and asking for help, and people are happy to help. I did not think that probably. Yeah, I didn't have any such qualms. In fact, our previous batchmates were also very helpful in terms of saying, okay, this is what you can expect, this is what you do, etc., etc. But the whole application process, I managed it myself. I did not even ask. The only person who read my essay was my wife. I think I just submitted what. Now today, if I go back and read the essay, I feel, oh, probably I could have done it better, and you will always have that feeling. So it's okay. So having a bad essay is not going to fail you, is what I would say. I think do reach out. People can reach out, because there are a lot of forums right now available. I think people can reach out and check out how they can improve their essays or whatnot. Right.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Gopi, for connecting with us and sharing this wonderful insight. Your journey definitely is going to help a lot of aspirants get a few doubts cleared in terms of what kind of an MBA program or what kind of an institution they should go about. Before you leave us, one last question. We're going to end it with, if you had to explain your MBA in less than 10 words, what would it be?
Oh, less than 10 is something that I'll have to think. Maybe let me take a shot at it. So I would say it's a very, very humbling experience. So don't count those two varies. So let me just put it as a humbling experience that changed my inherent perspectives about almost everything.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. You got it right in the first go itself. Thanks a lot for connecting with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Bye.